Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ginge Pedro Show. I am, of course, Mr. Ginge Gingerton. Alongside me, kicking it.
Pedro, and I have a very sticky like candy in my mouth, and I'm talking funny.
Is that what
How
they
you guys
call
doing?
that? The old Panamanian, what? I don't even know. A sweet chew? I don't know what.
It's a poor man's toffee or something, but it sounds like that now. But let me go. Jesus.
Okay, well, this guy. Well, while Pedro is spitting out some kind of candy, quote unquote, I'm sure it's something else sticky. I was trying to get to that joke, but we
No,
failed
don't
along
do
the
it.
way.
Don't do
Okay,
it.
so thanks for joining us this week, everybody. This is episode 44. We're almost to that magic number of 50, so that's exciting. Yeah, man. Yeah, want to thank everybody that's been joining us along the way here. We have a very interesting guest with us tonight, a gentleman whom I was unfamiliar with, but we were talking with a little bit behind the show. He seems to have a good handle on branding and marketing because the name of the project that caught my eye, it's called Robot Sex.
Oh yeah.
It's a hell of a eye catch there. And without further ado, let's bring out the man behind the madness, Mr. John Holland. Boom.
Hey, how y'all doing? Thanks for having me.
Hey, John. Yes, sir.
Hey, John.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just dive right on into it here. You said behind the scenes you had been doing comics since the '80s. Not calling you old at all, but could you talk a little?
That's all right. I know I'm old.
Right. Could you talk a little bit about what were some of the things, when you were a young man, some of those early influences that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I got started back in what a lot of people call the black and white boom when comics right after, a lot of the direct market sale had started, and you had First Comics and Pacific and all of that. And not a few years after that, there was a lot of companies were publishing in black and white, and they were basically throwing anything at the wall to see what stuck, and it was a lot of stuff was being published, but a lot of it was some pretty good stuff too. And I kind of sneaked in through there and started publishing. The first two stories I had published were the same month. I had a story in the backup of Journey, which was a comic by Bill Loebs that was being published by Aardvark Reinheim, which was Dave Sims' company. It was like a 4-page story with the art by Sam Keith. I don't know if you're familiar with Sam Keith.
Yes,
Nice.
sir.
Very cool.
Max and all that. Yeah,
Wow.
Sam and I kind of started off at the same time. We were working on a lot of stuff together, and then he
Very
started
nice.
getting jobs through Kamiko, and then Marvel, and he kind of got famous and moved on, got made a lot more money.
Right.
And then I also had a story published in through Fantagraphics. They were publishing an anthology called Critters, and I had like a series in that for a couple years, and that and Story and Journey I think came out about the same month. And then I just went through I did through Innovation, which was a company that actually was did color comics, and they did a lot of movie and TV and book adaptations. And I did a Christmas issue of based on the TV show Quantum Leap.
All
right.
Yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite shows. So it was kind of cool that I got
Scott Bakula.
Yeah,
Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
Great
From what I
name.
understand, they're actually re-bringing it back too with a whole new cast. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you were immersed in that movement of the '80s, of the black and white era. Like the energy, I can only imagine the energy. Like we've seen so many creators, like everybody doing their own thing, not really knowing if they're making an impact. We didn't have the internet back then, so how would you know up until like you'll see it on a magazine or whatnot? But I don't know. Like, would you like elaborate on that energy, how that felt at that time working on?
It was a lot of fun. Everybody, like I said, there was a lot of people publishing stuff. There was a lot of comic companies, out there, ready to publish, black and white comics. It was really before. I mean, you had some self-publishers, like Dave Sim was publishing Cerebus. The Pennies were doing ElfQuest, a few things like that. But you didn't have as much self-publishing as you do, I think, nowadays. You know, but you had I think you had a lot more small publishing companies that popped up, kind of like what we would do in self-publishing nowadays, and everybody, it was a fun time because you could, I was just sending stuff out and people were, taking it and wanting to, publish it. And, and like you said, though, it was before the internet. So you really didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And a lot of those companies, would pop up and be around for a few issues and then they just, go out of business because they just ran out of money. A lot of them were all trying to, find that next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So they were all looking for that big hit that they could, make a fortune off of. And, unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of those out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I remember at that time, like, I don't know, like I live in Panama, like in Central America.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, like you always saw like that like energy of an American coming, like I broke it big in the US and I'm going to sail the Caribbean. Like, I don't know, like it was like that like cocaine cowboy energy going on. Like, I don't know, like I feel it now with self-publishing. I feel a little bit of that. I mean, without the cocaine, obviously.
Yeah.
There's like cowboy energy. Like, I'm going to do it myself and then I'm going to sail into the sunset. So, dude, it's very, very cool. Like, I feel a lot of parallels from that time to this.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now it's like, like I said, I'm still working with a few publishing companies, but I'm self-publishing a lot of my own stuff. I created my own imprint, Die Bold Comics, and I published most of everything through them first. But I've got a couple comics coming out this month and next couple of months through some of the independents. Like there's a company called It's Alive Comics. They're publishing a book, and then Antarctica Press, who has been around since those times when I was talking about the 80s. They're going to print a comic in December. The artist Larry Giiiiiiiinge and I had went back and actually took some public domain characters, Herbie and Fat Man the Human Flying Saucer, and we created a comic off that. And Ben, who is the publisher of Antarctica, has seen it and really liked it and wanted to publish it. So, I mean, I'm not in Diamond's catalog. So, anything I publish is only going to get seen through, either my website or conventions I go to. So when I had a chance to put something in Diamond, puts a lot more eyes on it. So, I was like really pleased. I was like, yeah, we'll publish it. So, I mean, we'll go.
Sweet.
Very nice. Could you talk a little bit about some of the changes that you noticed throughout your time in the industry, like specifically kind of leading up to when did you notice self-publishing really starting to take off? Like, has it been within the last couple of decades, or was it once TMNT hit? I mean, that was kind of it, or like what are some of the big changes you think?
Yeah, I think though when the Turtles hit, it was like I said, it was a lot of other companies were popping up. There was some self-publishing. And but I don't remember a lot of self-publishing at that time. I think self-publishing has come more like probably, from the 2000s and on, in the last decade or two. And I think, it just got easier to self-publish, with the computers and the internet. And, a lot of that I think went from when the internet got big, I think people were putting stuff online so much, and then it was easier to take that and just, actually make print versions of it, things like that. So there's a lot of self-publishing now. There's a lot, there's still a lot of companies out there, but I think a lot more people are self-publishing and making a go of it now.
Yes, I agree. And it kind of just seems to be better all around, really. I mean, sometimes I wonder, and actually this is you can actually kind of defeat this. Like sometimes I wonder about the value of a rejection letter. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it can be used with people saying this isn't ready yet, but you can kind of negate a rejection letter and keep, the majority of your profits just by hiring a good editor, that you trust to say, hey, this isn't ready yet. You know what I mean? Or keep working or whatever. So yeah, you don't really need a publisher and you don't really need a gatekeeper telling you, hey, no.
Yeah, good thing with a publisher though is like, where I'm working with a couple, it does get you into like Diamond, just, the catalog and get you a lot more eyes on your work. But, self-publishing still, you can, I'm not making a living off of it right now. I have a day job. So, but it's something I enjoy doing and I just keep doing it. So, if I make enough money eventually to make a living off of it, that's going to be great. But I don't think I'm going to stop anytime soon either.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, very nice. So let's sort of, we kind of talked about your initial steps into publishing and self-publishing. Could we talk a little bit about your creation of Diebold, and what were what was your first book you had launched there, and maybe what was some of the stuff leading up to that? Like, what was your book previous to that, and then what was the book you launched after?
Yeah, when I started self-publishing for quite a few years, I didn't actually self-publish under the imprint. I had a website at the time, which I don't have anymore, that was like basically johnholland.net. And I pretty much used that as like on the back of all the comics and stuff. I would put that website on it. And I really wasn't doing an imprint. But after a few years of that, I just kind of thought that I needed to make a brand, brand all the comics and make some type of imprint. And I think it would have made a bigger impact. So I created Diebold, and the actual first comic I printed under Diebold was probably Ayla, Speaker for the Dead, which I had published before when I was just doing under my own name. And then I went back. When I first started printing under my own name, I actually was printing like 8.5 by 11 size comics, bigger. And then when I did Diebold, I decided to go back to regular comic book size, because that bigger size just kind of threw people off. People would look at it, and I just figured it was just go back to the normal comic book size. And then when I did, I decided to reprint Ayla, and that was the first one through the Diebold label. And then I actually had a comic I printed. I wrote back in the 90s called Diebold. And so that's where I actually got the name from. I kind of, I was trying to think up a really cool name, and that name just kind of kept, I kept seeing it. So I decided to go with Diebold Comics, and I reprinted that, under the Diebold label. And right now I think I've printed, probably about 15 comics under Diebold, which isn't bad considering I just really started the imprint about a little over a year ago.
All right.
Oh, very cool.
Now, not all of them are new. Some of them are like reprints. Like, I said, Ayla I've reprinted, and Diebold. And so not everything's brand new, but some of them are some new stories, and then some are the reprints. But just getting it all under that label and under that imprint, I think is pretty cool.
What is the kind of average length of these, each of these issues? Does it vary, or do you do like 23 pages? Or
24 pages is basically what I could, my minimum, I think. But the good thing with me and the publisher of the comic is if I decide I want to draw, go longer, I can. Like, I've had some stories. I had a comic book story called The Getaway Driver. And originally it was going to be, and it was a one shot, but originally it was going to be a 24-page one shot. And I was writing it. I was getting to the point where, getting close to 24 pages. And I realized I'm not going to wrap this up in, 24 pages. So then I had to make the decision, do I want to try to make a second issue of it? But I really didn't think it was going to be 48 pages long. So it ended up being like 36 pages. So I just printed it up as a 36-page comic. So most of them in 24 pages, but I have a few that go a little further than that, 36, 32, 28, just some different page lengths. And just depends when I'm writing it, when I get to that point, do I want to finish it? Like Robot Sex was actually going to be a one shot. And I got to the very last page, or getting to the last page, and I realized, no, it's going to go longer. So I figured I had enough to do 2 issues. And then when I started the second issue, I realized, no. So right now it's going to be at least 3 issues, because we've got the second issue done. The artist just sent me the cover and everything. So I've got to get that printed, and then we'll go. We'll start the 3rd issue, and it may go further than that because it's a story that I can see kind of continuing on. So.
Yeah, with a name of Robot Sex, you don't want that to end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sneeze here, guys.
What are you doing, Ginge? So yeah, dude, that's so cool. Like I have this question rummaging in my mind. So what really inspired you to go into writing?
I don't know. I've always wanted to write. I've always been a big reader. I've read since I was probably like 2-3 years old. I think I've always had a book. My parents entered me like a book club when I was, I think, 4 or 5, with Dr. Seuss and things like that.
Yeah.
So I've always been in some type of book club, when I was, old enough to pay for it myself. I was in a science fiction book club and mystery book club and all of those. And I've been a big fan of some writers like Harlan Ellison, who's a science fiction fantasy writer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and he was like one of my favorite writers. And when I was younger, he always writes introductions and afterwards to all his short stories, and mostly that's what he is, a short story writer. He's written a couple novels, but mostly short stories. And I found myself enjoying that part of the books as much as I did the stories sometimes. He'd write about how he created the story and what the ideas came from. And Isaac Asimov was another writer I enjoyed. And he was just his short story collections were kind of the same way.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got that behind the scenes look at it and thought, this is really cool and I want to do it. So
when I heard like robot sex, I remember like I Dream of Robot and the Mockingbird and all those. Like the Mockingbird is like a short story of a positronic brain android that's like a sex worker, and he gets confused, like, am I in love? Very, very short, very, very intriguing. So I don't know, like I heard robot sex and it took me there. It wasn't really like lewd or anything. It's just that's why I was interested. Okay, what takes the brain of this guy over here? Yes. Very, very cool. Frank Herbert, are you a fan of Frank Herbert or no?
Yeah, I read Dune, and I read a little bit of his other work. I can't say I'm like a real big fan of his work, but I've read some of his stuff. When I was younger, I was more of a science fiction fan.
Yeah,
I don't read as much of it now, but through my teens and into my 20s, and even in the 30s, I was probably that used to be all I would read was science fiction. Yeah, and at the time, Frank Herbert, I read a lot of his stuff. Dune, of course, Yeah,
that's the thing. Like when I was younger, like I was always like Frank Herbert, Asimov, and Michael Moorcock. Like was
I've got you can't. My books are another room. I've got probably about 40 Michael Moorcock books.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Champion, all those. Yeah, yes, I love those books.
Awesome, man.
Very nice. Okay, so let's sort of transition here nice and smoothly. I can't think of a space sort of take the what do they call
change gears?
No, I don't know. What's a nice flowery word for like a space yoke on your freaking
This is
spaceship.
Very smooth. This is very smooth.
I know. This is the exact opposite of that. I was hoping you guys would give me a bone here, but all right. All right. So speaking of robot sex, let's
do it.
Actually, first, hold on, Pedro. Do we do robots first? Let me ask. Do robots wear condoms? Okay. Okay, so I want to check out Diebold Comics real quick. I have that YouTube video. So I want to kind of get our eyes on John's catalog. Would that be where we'd find sort of a list of your works, John? Would be on Diebold?
Yeah, Diebold Comics, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Let me share. I can feel Pedro wanting to kill me right now. Okay. So here we are. All right.
There's a bunch of them right there.
Okay, very nice.
Very cool.
Let's take it from the top here. What do we got? A girl and her dog. Could you give us a couple quick pitches for?
Yeah, a girl and her dog is one of. I wrote that in the last year. That's actually what's coming out from It's Alive Comics. Should be out probably next month, hopefully. It's already been solicited and everything. It's running just a little late, but it's been written for a while because I actually self-published it through Diebold at first. And again, I was posting it on Facebook, and the publisher of It's Alive had seen it and asked to see more of it, and then he asked to publish it. And Tony Isabella, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with, who was creator of the Black Lightning, worked for Marvel and DC for a while.
Yeah,
I sent him a copy of it, and he actually calls it one of the best comics of the year. So
really?
yeah, it's and it's basically just about a girl and her dog, and kind of their relationship and how it actually even follows after the dog's death. Because people are going to live a lot longer than the dog, but
Oh man. Yeah.
it's kind of a tearjerker.
Yeah,
but,
I'm tearing up over here.
but it's also it's a very positive book too. About how the love between the girl and her dog. It's one of my favorite books. It's nothing. Like even the dog survive. Kind of comes back. It's not like a spooky book or anything like that.
There's something about those type of stories. It's not necessarily a feel good story, but it's like it's really just a character, not even a study per se, just like character driven story where you just it's real circumstances with real people and
it's real drama. It's real drama.
Those are nice.
And then talk about Harlan Ellison. One of his most famous stories is A Boy and His Dog, which they made a movie off of. So I knew, I took the title from that, but it has nothing to do with it, So it's just a lot of people ask me, is it based off of A Boy and His Dog? I said no.
No.
Okay, very cool, very nice. And my camera didn't switch over here, but I'm looking at the inside a little bit here when I clicked on the page. Who's the creative team on this?
The artist is Hernan Gonzalez, I've worked with on a couple things. He's also the artist on Alma, which is you see on the other side of the page, and he's just an awesome artist. I've been working with him on a few things now and continue. So Alma is something too that we started. He's the artist. We're on the second issue of that right now. The tagline for Alma is, "What if Buffy was a 72-year-old grandmother?" Okay. So it's a lot of people, most people know who Buffy the Vampire Slayer is.
Oh yeah.
So it's a quick, easy, way for people to kind of get an idea of what the issue's about. It's basically about a 72-year-old grandmother that gets the powers to fight demons.
Okay. Oh, Granny going to work.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then she has a garden gnome is like her companion, her person that helps her.
I used to have a strange fascination with gnomes growing up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of the story I should reveal, but
yeah, you shouldn't.
I shouldn't. Okay.
You should. No, that's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
No, you're probably right. Really. No, I mean, it's a funny thing. All right, so I mean, my grandma passed away when I was like 15. No big deal. I mean, God bless her. That's beside the point. We had to clean out her trailer, and I came across her books, just a collection of books, and she had this, like, it was just this old, perfectly dusty book, and you get it, blow it off, and it's just a book about gnomes, done as if they were real creatures. It had like, and it even sort of touched on their mating habits, and basically, I think they basically just pop out of the ground. But the takeaway from all this was they drew the gnome women with huge everything. They were very thick women.
Okay, so I have a question, Ginge.
Yes.
Were you aroused while reading the book?
No, that was always the joke. It's like, all right, Mark and his gnome porn. Like that was, I couldn't live down gnome porn for like 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no.
Is there any sort of gnome nudity in this?
No.
Just asking for a friend is all.
Yeah, asking for a friend. Yeah, like.
Okay, very, very
Rule
good.
34, man. Rule 34.
So we've got a history of voodoo. I'm curious here about this one. Just if you could, real quick, and then we'll move on. What do we got here?
That's basically more of a prose. It's not really comic book. That's probably my best-selling book at conventions.
Oh, awesome!
I sell a lot of those. In fact, I actually I've redid it with a new cover, and I haven't posted it up yet. And I actually added a little bit of comic book work to it with featuring Marie Laveau. But it's mostly, like just a history of voodoo. And, I'm an hour outside of New Orleans. So
nice.
I do a lot of local conventions. So anywhere in this area, voodoo is a big thing. So that's I always sell a good bit of those books at a show.
Very nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about the research for that book? Did you actually do some like down-home voodoo research?
I did a lot of reading, a lot of, just online, looking stuff up, checked out a lot of books from the library, things like that. That's probably that book's about probably 10 years old, so it's been a while since I wrote that book. So
wow.
Very cool, man.
Yeah, right on. Okay.
Yeah, you don't see that many like voodoo products out there, and prose or film. I remember this movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow. I don't know if you've seen.
Oh
it.
yeah, that's one of the books that I actually read about, because that was
awesome.
based off of a supposedly real story. Researcher.
Yeah, Papa Doc Duvalier used to practice voodoo on his enemies, and like it's loosely based off of that, the history of Haiti. So very cool, man. Very cool.
Did you ever have any thoughts?
I have to say, like you have a way for naming your books, because it's really like evoking. Like you want to know what's happening. Like A Girl and His Dog, A History of Voodoo, Ava, Speaker of the Dead. It's like, wow. Yeah, like I want to read those books just by reading the name. Like not many people can do that.
Yeah, thank you. That's always sometimes the hardest part of trying to figure out the name, and sometimes I don't know if I succeed or not.
You have, sir. You have.
Thank you.
Have you ever had any thoughts of sort of collecting a couple like number ones of certain issues and doing like an anthology, a Diebold presents, kind of?
I actually there's a comic further down on the list called Snapshots, and it was a collection of short stories that I had written during the black and white boom. Right there. I think it's 64 pages, and it's just a collection of stories that like I had some stories in Kitchen Sink's Death Rattle with Sam Keith again and Dave Garcia, some different artists.
Very cool.
And just different places where I had short stories that had no home. So I just kind of all collected them in there and put it out. I have collected some of the books like Ayla. It was a 4-issue storyline. I've collected that into a trade. And then I've got a series called Lizards, which is what came through a Fantagraphics. And I've collected the first 5 issues of that in a trade. And I'm actually continuing that story along. I'm on issue 6 right now, and I'm going to continue doing those.
Very nice. That's cool. Well, congratulations. This is the one. Is it coming out at Fantagraphics soon, or if we already pick it up there?
No, these were back when through Fantagraphics, back through Critters. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, that lizard cover has a really like Studio Ghibli feel to it. Like, I really like the colors and the composition. It's different.
Yeah, that was the collection right there. The one with the wings on it. That's by the new artist on it that I'm using is Roman Giiiiiiinge because the original artist on it, Ron Wilbur, passed away quite a few years ago. And I've used a few other artists too. Like on all the covers, every cover is done by a different artist too, pretty much. So, and I've used, because a lot of what Lizards is like short stories about this family that just happens to be lizards. And, so I use different artists on different stories too. So.
This kind of looks like Lord Farquaad a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I see that.
Okay, so here's actually what we've come to talk about today: robot sex. So I'm going to stop sharing this.
Yeah.
That's my. All right. Start up here at the top. All righty. So robot sex. All right. So, John, tell us a little bit about this one. Specifically, if you would, just sort of like what was the inspiration for the name? Like this is a good one.
Yeah. First, I should say, it's a lot of robots, but no sex in the book.
Oh man.
Yeah. There's the book is probably rated, PG-13 or something. Nothing too bad. So the name was I'm not really sure where the name came from. I was trying to think of a name that would attract attention. And the artist on that is Roman Giiiiiiinge, and I worked with him on Lizards, and on his Facebook page and his Twitter, he posts a lot of like sketches of robots and really cool looking robots and just all this things. And I kept looking at him going like, I want to do a book where he does robots. So I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to write a book about robots, and I was trying to think of a name for it. And I think it was, I don't know if it was HBO. There was a show, and I think it still may be on called Robot Love or
no, Love, Death, and Robots.
Love, Death, and Robots. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that name kind of stuck with me, and I kept thinking, how can I play off that name? And I came out with Robot Sex.
Way better.
And I was kind of thinking, do I want to use that name or not? Because that name is going to, and I thought, no, I'm going to use the name. And it attract on my tables. People look at that, just see the name, and will pick it up just because of the name. So
yeah, it's very catchy. The thing is, like, people can get confused. Let's just say when they read the name Robot Sex, but if you explain, like, dude, it's a PG-13 book, like that's the end of that. Like it shouldn't go beyond that. But the name is catchy, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
people to pick up the book.
Yeah, like I tell them pretty quick. I'm like, there's no sex in the book. A lot of robots, but no sex. There is a relationship between the main character and the robot, but you don't really see anything. So I'm not, going to show like them having sex or anything.
Yeah, James, can you zoom out this artwork?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Yes, I can, my friend.
See the whole.
Oh no.
There you go.
Yeah,
I really like
nice.
this composition, man.
Oh yeah, he did an awesome job with the colors and everything.
Mm-hmm. You see, like you have like the backlighting of the sun there, but there's another like light action behind the wall that's lighting the robot, but you get like the rim lighting of the sun. Like really, really, really well done.
Yeah, he just sent me the cover to the second issue, which is really good too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we've got to get that get together and print it up. But yeah, I love his art.
Yeah. So is Robotech a collection of short stories, or this is like a whole massive story going on?
No, it's one long storyline. Basically, it's kind of set in a far future. After pretty much most of the world has been destroyed, and the main characters is Laveau, who is the woman, and the robot is Barney. And they're traveling to New Orleans for a job. And the first issue is basically mostly them getting to New Orleans. Second issue, they're in New Orleans and they have some adventures in it. So, and then the third issue will be getting more to the job and stuff. But this is a comic that I throw everything in. It's a lot of weird stuff is in it. I throw anything that I can think of, is not off limits. So like the second issue, I've got dinosaurs in it. I've got flying. It just, I just kind of throw whatever I feel like would work in it.
Yeah, the character design is very interesting. Yeah, I like the elements of the clothing, like the hair, the details on her. Is that like cybernetic enhancements she has there, or he just decided he wanted to put it in the image. Yeah, Roman came up with the images for him. He told him the two characters, and he created the image. So, very cool.
Yeah, I love the image of Laveau because she doesn't look like any character that's out there right now.
Not at all. I really appreciate that in character design. Like when you see something that's distinctive.
Yeah.
You get like superheroine, like drew a hot lady. Like we have an archetype of the hot lady, and everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's not hot. I'm just saying she looks different.
No, I understand completely. Yeah, I like to have things that don't look the same. I don't want to be like cookie cutter with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, this is almost kind of, especially with like the setup here with like people playing instruments as they're coming. This feels kind of cartoon inspired. Is that a medium that you're a fan of? Do you watch cartoons, or did you grow up watching them a lot?
I grew up watching them. I don't really watch a whole lot now, but I would think the first scene is more like probably something from like Bugs Bunny or something like that. And it's basically the first scene is just like my mind just went blank.
It happens.
A jazz funeral. Coming from New Orleans,
right.
It just like walks by him in the middle of the desert. And that's all you see of it. It just walks by and keeps going. And just watch it. Like I said, I'm kind of this is a very surreal comic in some ways.
Very nice. You got the alien Boobajoo belt here. I like it. I assume that's an alien, right? It's like some kind of creature with an eyeball there.
No, that's the human. That's the woman. Laveau.
No. Right here. Is that a belt?
Yeah, it's just a belt. She's connecting together.
It's like a little eyeball right there.
Yeah.
It's a little demonic belt. Like I like it.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah,
Very cool.
very
So,
cool.
could you talk? So, your artist, he handled the character designs. Could you talk a little bit about the scripting process? Are you like a very descriptive writer? Do you go panel 1, panel 2, or do you give him a page?
Yeah,
And
no,
let him do it?
I write full script, like
Mm-hmm.
page 1, panel 2, whatever. And a lot of my panels descriptions, or some of them are more descriptive than others, but I give the artist a lot of leeway. I always tell them that, look, if you can think of a better way to do this, go for it. If this doesn't make sense, let me know, because I want to work with the artist. I don't want to just send them the script and say do it exactly like this. And like I said, I just gave him the 2 descriptions of the 2 main characters, and basically he came up with their look and everything. But so he follows the script. Most of my panel descriptions are only a few sentences. I'll write, this is what happens, and then let him go from there on it.
Okay, very nice.
And in the one thing in the book is Barney. He talks, but he doesn't. All his speech is in emojis.
Emojis,
Yeah, or pictograms or whatever. He doesn't use any language actually, which that sometimes comes up to be a little makes me think, because I'm like, okay, I want him to convey something, but what do I use to make him, to make it can come through?
Very nice. It's an interesting, must be an interesting exercise, really. Just having to think differently about writing dialogue. Was there any inspiration that caused you to go with that, or was it just like a fun little idea you had?
It was just an idea I've had for a while, and I don't know where it came from, but I just thought it would be, something different. And I kept waiting for the right character to use it for, and then I finally decided to use it for Barney.
Got a big set of lips here with some just gross hair on the head. Very nice.
Whoa.
So, who are the villains? What's your sort of moral compass like in this world? Is it traditional Western, or do we have a big bad guy? Or
when she gets to the city, pretty much the government's going to be the bad guy.
Oh,
man. Right now she's out in the robots are considered kind of like like slaves in a sense, because you see right there they're bringing a lot of robots through the desert. So,
wow.
she gets to the city, and it's going to end up being the government that's going to be like one of the big scenes is there's a robot in the that they're talking like and the police and everybody invaded and start shooting the robots and everything.
Is that a walking set of tits, my friend?
Well,
no, is that
no.
eyes? No,
that's eyes. That's 2 eyes.
My apologies.
He said no.
No,
sex,
I did
man.
say no nudity. That's right. I saw this guy, and I'm like, the back of that looks like boobs. And I saw this guy, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. You're now looking for sex, man. It's not cool.
All right, I'm just having fun. All right, I'm sorry. No. Okay, very nice. So the government being the main bad guy, that sounds about right, really. So how many issues ahead of time do you script things out before you decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead with this series?
Usually an issue as I'm going. I don't plan out real far. Sometimes I plan out further in advance. I won't say forever, but like I said, this was originally going to be a one shot. And then when I was writing it, I decided to do 2 issues. And then when I got to the second issue, I realized pretty quick that I'm going to need at least 3 issues, and it may end up just continuing. It may just be one of those books that I just keep working on for a while.
Very nice.
Even when I sit down to write, I'm not a big outliner. I don't sit down and outline page by page and I'll start with the beginning, and usually I kind of know where the end is, and I just kind of go from there. So as I write, sometimes new ideas, a page may make me realize, oh, wait a minute, I should do this instead of that. And I'll just, and that's how I end up adding an extra issue to something, because I start adding more things to it.
Nice.
But this is very trippy. Like I like the fact that it's like a very eclectic story. It's not like a normal like adventure. and some of the character designs just remind me of a very like drugged out McDonald's park experience. You know, like for example, the guys with the guns, those
Yeah,
are
this guy.
like drugged out like the the French fries.
Yeah, somebody else had mentioned that to me too. I don't know if I thought of that when I, kind of
No,
gave
dude, but it's awesome.
But,
It's awesome, man. It's awesome because it's something you recognize, and it stays in your mind. It's like I've seen this somewhere.
yeah.
And then Ronald McDonald's like, wow. So no, dude, it's just very cool, man. Very cool.
Do you enjoy designing the creatures? Did they get names, or did you just kind of give loose descriptions? Does this mouth?
Yeah, well, most of those aliens and creatures, I kind of designed or told them, I told them I wanted a big mouth, and that's been a character that for some reason I've had in my mind for quite a while. Same thing with the ones that look like McDonald's. Those were I created them. I called them Daddy Long Legs, the spiders.
Yeah,
right. Legs, and I kind of gave him a description for that, and he added that little furry part and everything. So I like coming up, but I'll give him a description or kind of what I want, and then he just kind of does, creates them, and usually adds some, makes them look better than what I would have thought.
That in animation is called plussing, and then basically you get like the original idea, and then you plus it, and then the director will come to tell you if you're insane or cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very nice. So, do you have any plans to take this to an outside publisher, or is this one you're looking at bigger things with, since you're pursuing it as an ongoing series?
Yeah, I'm thinking of that actually. I'm thinking of trying to see if any publishers will want to pick it up. Like I said, right now I'm publishing it through Diebold, but I have no problem publishing it through through another company, another publisher. So I'm actually really thinking about trying to, especially once I get the second issue, done and printed. So I've got, something really solid to show people.
Mm-hmm. So have you considered doing an Indiegogo with any of this?
Crowdfunding or Kickstarter?
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do a Kickstarter on the first issue of Alma. We're going to reprint that. And we're supposed to do the Kickstarter. Should start hopefully next month. We're hoping to get to it. I've been thinking of a Kickstarter for a long time, but for some reason, a Kickstarter has always scared me. I've always been afraid that I'm just going to fail at it, or just
but okay, don't be afraid of failing at a crowdfunder, because then you'll just do it again. Like, learn from your mistakes and do it again. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, nobody's gonna come to your home with a 2x4 and break it over your head. Like, nothing's happened. It's just like, dude, it didn't pan out. Let's see what went wrong, and let's try it again.
Yeah, and I think with a Kickstarter too, I'm not going to ask for a lot of money, just enough to pay for the publishing and the art and stuff like that.
Because the art is already done. So very cool.
So once I do this first one and get it out under my belt and see, especially if it succeeds, then I'll probably start doing a lot more Kickstarters just to help.
Very cool.
Right now,
I
pay for everything. I pay for the art, I pay for the printing, I pay for and it's good to have a pretty decent job, but it's still it hurts sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money that goes out.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely what Pedro said. One of the benefits you're at now is the book. The artwork's already done on anything you'd be putting out. And that's kind of like one of the big risks people sort of worry about is, if I don't get the money, I can't finish the book. But you've already got that. So and I called this one Robot Says. I said it sort of looks cartoonish, but it's actually really a compliment, because you can really tell your artist has got a lot of years on him, because it is very surreal. It's very strange, but it just flows very smooth, and it definitely looks like I'm looking at a cartoon show. It kind of reminds me of Super Jail, Real Monsters. That's another one a little bit with this giant mouth here.
Oh yeah, well, I love cartoony style too. I think there's I like a lot of I don't like to stick to one style to any of my comics. I want it depends a lot of times what the artist I'm working on, but also just every story should have a different style. I don't want to, make them all look the same.
Gotcha.
Say hello to the chat real quick.
Yeah.
We got some friends here. We got John Hervey. What's up, John?
So,
Friend of the show.
Beyond Time Comics.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Neo Star Productions, the man himself, the man, the myth.
Yeah, the
best.
Stone in your shoe. Yeah, the best intros in the land.
That's true.
The best.
That's true. We got Ty Ranger having flashbacks to the Futurama episode.
Yeah,
Don't date a robot.
Nice.
I like it. Are you a Futurama fan, John?
Honestly, no.
Oh no.
Nah, yeah. I haven't watched a lot of the more current cartoons, or even the last, as much as I probably should be.
Oh, you're good. We're cartoon nuts over here, so I talk a lot about cartoons.
Yeah, but I understand when people don't watch them. So, yeah, there's no judgment.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it has gone to a weird place lately.
Well, and the problem is there's only so many hours in a day. I work a job, try to write, and do a few other things. So, it doesn't leave a lot of time for a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I finally saw Top Gun yesterday. So
yeah, I still haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
So, John, I got a question for you. How many, since you definitely sound like a busy guy, how many scripts at a time do you juggle? Do you focus on one project at a time, or do you practice a few at a time?
I've got, just yesterday I was working on a script for, we're doing a sequel to the Fat Man Herbie book that I was telling you about. And Ben wanted us to do a sequel to it. So I was working on a script for that yesterday. I just finished up a script for another story today, and I usually have 3 or 4 stories going at a time. The good thing about that, though, is that if I get stuck somewhere, like if one story I kind of get stuck and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, I just go and start writing, go to another script. So it saves me from having writer's block, because unless I really get really, really bad writer's block, I can't think of anything. If I bounce from script to script, it gives me, a little more freedom. Lately, I've been trying to do, I've been writing a few scripts, though. I'll start off the day and kind of knock them out in a day. I kind of go out on my porch and I used to write behind a desk, and some reason I always had, I'd always get up or I'd get on the computer or whatever. About a year ago, I decided to buy like a little podium that looks like one of the little podiums that people use to talk behind. And I write on it. So I'll put that out on my porch and I'll put my paper on it and I'll start writing. And it really works well for me because I can walk around, I'll walk around a little bit, go back, write a page or whatever. I found I've been writing a lot better doing it this way than I was when I was sitting at a desk.
A podium like a minister.
Kind of, exactly, yeah. Just a little, it's just a little stand with a little, like a little top piece of it that I found on Amazon.
Nice.
And, I actually got the idea. I'd seen an old picture of Stan Lee writing he was at home and he was out in his backyard and he had like a desk and he had his typewriter on top of the desk, like a kind of like a real tall desk or podium, and he was writing on it. And I looked at that and I was like, that's kind of cool. I was kind of thinking, I wonder if I could write like that.
Nice.
So is it basically like a standing desk? You're standing and writing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I like the idea of a podium better. It feels like you're pontificating or something.
Yeah. And it's easy because it's just a pole with a little top on it, so I can bring it in and outside really easy. Because it's really nice if I can go outside on my porch and be outside when I'm writing too. It makes it a little nicer, being outside than being stuck inside all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I see some trees behind you there. Do you live in the woods? You get to listen to the birds and everything?
Yeah, a little bit. I live on an acre, so when I moved in, I've only moved in here about 2 years ago. And when I moved in, I had to level all the trees and everything because it had sat, unused for about, I think, 20 years. But I kept all the way around the land. I kept like a thing of trees around to kind of, give me a little privacy and,
Oh yeah.
So that's probably what. Yeah, and then I kept a lot of trees in my yard too. Just I like trees.
Me too, man. Oh yeah.
Sounds like a dream, man. Congrats.
Absolutely. Okay, very nice. So what's next for you, John? You've wrapped up this. I think you said you wrapped up Robot Sex 2 as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's like I said, I just got the cover for it. We're going to send that out to get all ready to go to the printer. We'll get that in the printer. I've got, I'm started the sequel to 2 Tons of Fury, which was the Fat Man and Herbie. That's going to come out. That's a 48-page issue. That's also including his character Tomorrow Girl from Antarctica Press. So she's going to be in it, and we're going to do that. I've got the script for Alma 2 done, and it's with Hernan now. He's finishing it up. I've got another book that I'm working on with Hernan. That was the book I just finished 12 pages for today.
All right.
And I'll get that to him. The good thing is Hernan's really fast too, and he's really good.
Oh, that's important, man.
Yeah. Because it's good because he's getting a lot of work from a lot of people. I don't know how he keeps up with it. I'm starting to see his name on a lot of different things, but he keeps seeming to be able to turn out the pages. So that's really good. And I've probably got a few more things that I can't think of. Like I said, I'm always, trying to write as many things at a time, and just keep the balls, in the air, just so when I run out of an idea for something, I can just jump to the other idea. I'm still doing Lizards, which I need to finish some scripts for that so I can get the next issue of that out.
Very cool. So just real quick before we go, I am sort of curious, what method do you do the majority of your sales at? Would you say you go to cons more often, or do you do a lot of stuff online, or like from your website? Or
no, conventions. Yeah, I haven't really did a lot on the website. The website's fairly new. I've been doing a little bit on from Global Comics, the digital.
Yes.
That's been doing a little, but you don't make a lot of money on a digital copy. So I'm definitely not going to be retiring anytime soon. But
do you find Global Comics is easy to work with?
Oh yeah. So far, I mean, they were really easy to download. Some of these digital sites, I'm not that computer savvy. I make my way through it. If I have to, and some of these digital sites, I can't figure out how to even put a comic on them. Some of them, and Global Comics was really easy. You just download the comic and it pops up. And it's be really easy to work with and everything. So so far I'm enjoying working with it. So and they do a lot of they've got like Valiant Comics is on their page, and a lot of mid-tier and even comic book companies, publishers are on there. So they've got a pretty good selection of books there.
Moving on up over there. Very nice. Yeah, the Global Comics guy, you see him on Twitter a lot. He's a hardworking dude.
Yeah, I see him a lot. Yeah, on Twitter, you see him all the time. He's posting. And cool thing was Alma is because they've got their main page, and then they've got like the different categories like horror and science fiction and that. And I've got Alma on Global Comics right now. You can read for free. And the last month, it's been like, I think, in the top 10 of their horror comics on Global Comics. So,
right on.
Yeah. So I figure even if we're going to do a Kickstarter, a lot of people still want that physical copy, and I think, showing it for free, people can read it for free, will hopefully, get people to want to buy it, when we do the Kickstarter.
Are you going to take it off of Global Comics or release it with a new cover, or
we're going to do a new cover? We're going to do a new cover on it, but I'll probably take it from being free when we finally hit the Kickstarter. But we're going to do a new cover for it, and we got some pinups. I've got I think 4 or 5 artists doing variant covers for it for the Kickstarter, and we'll see how it does. I've seen a lot of digital things be offered, and then when the physical copies come out, people still buy the physical copy. So
yeah, it's a different experience. Like people want the feel of paper.
Yeah. Yes, and also you can really some of those people are doing really successful, like the transitioners, let's call it, for lack of a better word here.
Oh my God!
Sort of I'm sorry. No. Like the people like Webtoons is the other big sort of digital library.
Yeah,
and there's a couple places where a couple creators who have done very successful in taking their book from digital to collecting it all into one So there's something to be said about building a fan base over time and, getting them primed to back the actual physical book.
Yeah, and even more so now, a lot of the those big name creators went to Substack, and they're publishing their stuff digitally. But now, then they're coming out with it like 6 months, a year later, through Image Comics or Dark Horse Comics, places like that.
Yes, very nice. I like it. Okay, well, John, we are at the end of our journey here, my good sir. I do want to thank you for joining us. Is there anything else that we missed? I'm trying to get my mouse has died on me here.
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. I appreciate y'all letting me be on here and talk about my comics.
It was a pleasure, man. Like you're very prolific. You have a huge catalog. Dude, yeah, I want to congratulate you on that. And it's I like the fact that it's like a lot of styles within everything that you do, and that's not common either. So. Yeah, like congrats, man. I really like what I see.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've tried to keep it, as varied as possible, not, get into one type of storyline or, genre.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But before we go, I am just sort of wondering, the question will forever haunt me. What has been
Angry Mom?
Barney.
What is Barney reading here?
You know what? I have no idea. That was Roman did that.
It says Angry Mom.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know. Actually, that's a show. That's a different show.
Yeah.
Robot sex. All right, then, gang. John, I'm gonna bump you to the back real quick, sir, as we close out our show. We'll be with you in just 1 second if you'd like to give us a moment. Yep. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. All righty. Guys, that was a really fantastic show from a guy who's very knowledgeable, has been in the business for a couple decades, really. I mean, that's kind of rare to get to talk to anybody who's been around, putting work in and just getting to pick their brain a little bit. You usually got to pay for that kind of thing. So,
yeah, you usually got to pay for a lot of things.
It's true. Ain't nothing in this life free, Pedro.
Yeah, especially if you want a happy ending.
And we do. We always want a happy ending here at the Ginge.
And this ending is happy.
Okay. All right, everybody. I don't know who we have next week, but the week after that, we got Keith Gleason from the Mighty Mascots coming up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that'll be a great show. Mighty Mascots, one of my favorite books in all of indie comics. So definitely give Keith's work a read if you haven't yet. Yeah. And join us 2 Tuesdays from now.
He does stand up too. You knew that? Keith,
the stand up?
Yeah, he does stand up. He has a video on stand up. He's really good. I like that.
Very good. We'll have to sort of do that thing that people do to comedians when you meet them. Like, tell me a joke.
Oh man,
make me laugh, funny man.
No, that's you're gonna get punched in the throat.
All righty, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and hit that